This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
This week on Off the Record, more COVID cases, more workplaces rethinking their back-to-work plans. We'll talk about vaxxing and masking on the job and why there were vaccine protesters at the hospital this week. Charlotte police protesters settle one lawsuit and file a new lawsuit after last summer's Uptown tear gas attack. Also, it's an LGBTQ redo after HB2. City Council talks for the first time in 5 years about new local protections against discrimination. Meanwhile, protection against eviction is back, at least for a while, a few extra months to make the rent here in Mecklenburg and surrounding counties. Plus, the airport bounces back after a bad year due to COVID, and the latest on funding for the future of Eastland Mall. Lots to talk about next on PBS Charlotte. And from our PBS Charlotte studios in historic Plaza Midwood, I'm Jeff Sonnier, and we're off the record talking about the stories you've been talking about this week. And if you watch the news, read the news, and listen to the news, well, you'll recognize the names and faces around our virtual table. Danielle Shemtop from Axios Charlotte, Eli Portillo from the UNC Charlotte Urban Institute, and Christina Bowling from the Charlotte Ledger, all joining us today. Thanks for being here, gang. You can also join the conversation at home. Just email your questions and comments to offtherecord@WTVI.org. Well, every week it seems like we start off talking about COVID, I guess because it affects everybody in some way, shape, or form. This week, a lot of the plans that a lot of the local businesses and employers laid out weeks ago are getting changed now, I guess, because of all these unforeseen changes in the virus itself. I know, Eli, you're on campus at UNC Charlotte, one of the places that's had to adjust its back-to-work plans. You want to talk a little bit about what that's like from an employee's point of view?
Sure. So we started coming back to the office, at the beginning of July. And since then, of course, with the changes in the Delta variant and rising caseloads locally, we've seen UNC system-wide guidance this week that, folks have to either get vaccinated or get tested weekly this upcoming fall semester. Also, there's an on-campus indoor mask requirement that's now in place. So, unless you're in a private space like your office by yourself, you have to wear a mask. Folks are adapting to that, but it's a little disorienting, frankly. It feels kind of like we're in summer 2020 in some ways with this uncertainty coming. I know a lot of workplaces across Charlotte and across the nation are grappling with whether to mandate vaccines, whether to have more of a carrot and stick approach where the stick might be something like weekly testing or you have to wear a mask indefinitely if you're unvaccinated. But it's really, kind of feels like we're taking an unfortunate step back and really just bringing back a lot of the memories of a year ago when we didn't really know where things were headed and just had that uncertainty swirling around.
Yeah, and I know the business community, as you mentioned, Eli, also having to kind of readjust their plans. I know both Axios and the Ledger have talked with some of these big employers about how to make this work or how to do it on the fly, I suppose. What are they telling you, and how fluid of a situation do we have right now, given how fluid the virus itself is right now?
It's extremely fluid. I know that a lot of companies were targeting, back before Delta became such an issue, we're targeting around September because, students would be back in school. And so, employees would hopefully be vaccinated by then. So there might be an opportunity to bring people back. And of course, we've seen employers that had planned to do that just push it back later and later, which has implications, beyond just those individual businesses, but also on uptown businesses that rely on those workers that have been waiting desperately for them to come back for, a year and a half at least. Yeah.
We've heard a lot about working from home, but there is that kind of expectation that everyone would be back from now. We heard this week Wells Fargo delaying their plans by a week. Truist also delaying their plans to bring employees back. It kind of makes you wonder whether these companies that have gone to a more remote or hybrid work concept, maybe that is going to be the future, at least in the near term. Christina, what are your thoughts on where the business community is right now on how to get back to where they were before all this started?
Yeah, I really think, Jeff, that, these businesses they've been trying to figure out how their cultures are going to change through this whole experience. For so many, we know Bank of America, they talked early about really wanting to kind of get back into the office culture. And they're just having to rethink everything on the fly as they go. It's been, I think, difficult for them just making plans, communicating plans, and then having to change plans. And so, at this point, I think that, really they're trying to figure out how to keep people safe, but how to, maintain those office cultures that they have for so long.
Yeah,
and I think there's, also a really interesting difference this time around, which is before we kind of had this expectation that everything would be going back to normal by now. And in some ways, we're not seeing the same levels of death that we were earlier, but we are starting to see, infection numbers above 4,000 cases in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. I think that return, that slide backwards, kind of makes it feel harder than it was before, because we were so close to normalcy, whatever that means. We were, right there. And I think it's kind of harder to watch that recede. Even than it was to see it go away the first time.
Yeah, and obviously,
I think too,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Danielle.
I think too that one thing that's really different about this situation is a labor market being so tight, and employers are hesitant to bring people back. Like, even if we weren't dealing with all of these health concerns, to bring people back 5 days a week, because a lot of people have said, they've gotten used to working remote. They want to keep working remote, and that they might even leave their jobs if they have to go back, every day from 9 to 5. So I think that's another consideration too, beyond just the health issues.
Yeah, the expectation is, I guess, when you did come back, you'd come back to a normal or somewhat normal workplace. But we're hearing from Duke Energy and Lowe's both this week saying they're going to require masks indoors, just like the UNC system is. And then we see the pushback from hospital employees, Atrium employees and supporters meeting at Freedom Park, marching down to the hospital, actually protesting Atrium's decision to mandate a vaccine for all hospital employees. Everybody wants employee choice, but also everybody wants employee health. And it's, it is interesting to see these employers walking a fine line as they try to figure out what's the safest for their employees, but also what's the best for their business itself and retaining those employees, I suppose.
Yeah, and for healthcare, not only are they dealing with the most vulnerable people, they also have to deal with staffing issues that they've been contending with for, the past year plus of this pandemic. And if they have people who are not vaccinated, who are getting sick for long periods of time, who are having to quarantine, that puts a big strain on those resources that they've already, in some cases, faced shortages with in many hospital systems. Yeah. So I was really disappointed to see that, and I hope that healthcare workers are willing to be responsible and take care of the vulnerable people who are in their charge. Mm-hmm.
I think it sort of shows, Atrium is such a huge company, right? And so with any huge company, there's going to be a diversity of opinion. And Atrium came out and said, get your vaccine. If you haven't by October 31st, you risk termination. And so in any massive organization like that, there are going to be people who feel different ways. It was definitely kind of shocking, I think, for a lot of people to see that publicly turn out like that. But I think it just goes to show the way that the diversity of different opinions in a big company like that.
Yeah, I know Atrium says that they've had a 200% increase in hospitalizations since this recent spike with that variant of COVID. 99% of those people that are hospitalized now are the unvaccinated. So it's hard for the hospital or for health people in general to say, get that vaccination, protect yourself, when the employees, only 67% of Atrium employees so far have been vaccinated. That's in part why the hospital and Novant as well have mandated this as a requirement for their employees. So this is not a topic that's going to go away anytime soon. Unfortunately, I guess we all hope that by now we might be talking about life after COVID, but we seem to be still right in the middle of COVID, and every week it just seems to be another wrinkle that slows us toward that back to normalcy. But we'll revisit that in a future show, I'm sure. In the meantime, let's also revisit a topic we talked about last week: LGBTQ. We knew the Charlotte City Council, was moving forward on this. Apparently, they're almost ready to vote on this, and they talked about it for the first time this week. For such a potentially controversial subject, it was remarkably civil among those council members who seem to disagree on just about everything else that winds up on their agenda. Thoughts on how they're moving forward on this and what they're moving forward with right now?
Yeah, I mean, it really is such a different climate than back in 2015 when the last non-discrimination ordinance led to the passage of House Bill 2 and all of the backlash around that from businesses. So, it is really remarkable, as you said, to see such agreement. There were certain points in the non-discrimination ordinance that people disagreed on: what size employers should it apply to, how strong should the penalties be, things like that. But there really was an overwhelming sense that they all agreed that this is a necessary step. I mean, there has been actually a Republican proposal on the table for longer than this current proposal that came up from the Democratic leaders on council. So, it is really, really interesting to see. It will be coming for a vote, or it's scheduled to at least on Monday. We'll see if that remains. I know there were some discussions about whether or not to push it off a little bit and work on it a little more, but it really doesn't seem like there's been major opposition. I think one big thing too that's been different is that Charlotte's not going at it alone.
Right.
There have been, I believe, around 9 or 10 other local governments in North Carolina that have already done this since the provisions in the House Bill 2 compromise bill that was passed, called HB 142, sunsetted at the end of last year. So I think that's another big difference too. You've just got this statewide coalition essentially of the major cities all doing this at once.
And I think last time around in 2015, when they were discussing this, the whole issue was framed around or by this public hearing that I was at, that I covered at the time for the Observer. And there were, I think, about 5 to 5.5 hours of public testimony, feedback. More than 100 people talked for a few minutes each. Many of them fervently against it, many of them not from Charlotte, many of them from surrounding areas. So there was this just, madhouse circus of opposition that all converged on city council. And this time around, the app has been very different. And I keep coming back to this, but I think, frankly, people have so much else on their mind.
Right.
There have been so many other controversies since then. I just can't imagine those 150 or so people, especially in Zoom world, converging on city council to voice their opposition like last time around. And I think that lack of a major public pushback is part of the reason we haven't seen this blow up in the same way.
Yeah. I guess we'll see what the legislature and what potentially groups who might want to take legal action against whatever the city council passes. We'll see what they do coming up. But you get the sense the legislature doesn't have a taste for this fight this time around like they did 5 years ago. And the city manager and the city attorney have both warned, we may have lawsuits. There may be challenges to this. But again, as you mentioned, as everyone's mentioned, the public in general seems to be more accepting and tolerant of what council is doing this time around versus what they were trying to do last time around. And I guess that, by the way, we will hear from the public, I suppose, this coming Monday as well as City Council votes on this. This will be an opportunity for the public to step forward and say their piece. But again, the good old days of those 5.5 hour public hearings, Eli, I guess aren't so good, maybe in hindsight. And we'll see what it looks like on Monday as Council revisits this thing, maybe for the final time. Evictions, Back in the news this week, the CDC reverses itself, at least temporarily, on whether the folks who are experiencing COVID hardships can get a break on that rent or that mortgage payment. I know you've written extensively about this the last couple of weeks, Danielle. Kind of a surprise what the CDC did, but a welcome surprise for those folks who are fighting to hang on to their homes, I suppose.
Yeah, it really was a hectic week in terms of this issue. There was disagreement between Congress and the White House over who should be the one to have a moratorium. There was a Supreme Court ruling that had said essentially that it had to expire at the end of July. And so there was concern that if the White House extended it once again, that there could be legal action. And there is actually expected to be legal action already just days after it was passed. But essentially what this does is it applies to all counties that have substantial or high rates of COVID-19 transmission, which in North Carolina is almost every county except for, I believe, 4 in the eastern part of the state. So it certainly applies to Mecklenburg, and it would run through October 3rd. So it's a new eviction moratorium, a little bit more limited, but like I said, I mean, almost, I think over 90% of counties in the U.S. Would fall under this because of the high transmission rates of COVID-19. One thing, though, that's important to understand is if we actually, if things get better, which hopefully they do soon, then it wouldn't actually apply anymore, if a county fell out of the substantial or high transmission rates. So that's an important thing that advocates have talked about, that really hard for people to keep up on, right? I mean, if you're a tenant, you're probably not checking the CDC dashboard every day. But for now, there are some protections, and we'll see how long that'll last.
Yeah, I think anyone who's challenged in keeping that home, it welcomes the status quo, because the status quo means they don't have to move, they don't get forced out. Yeah. And I was surprised on how much funding is still available for folks who face this challenge. Only about a half of it that the city has in this pool allocated from the feds has actually been, found its way into the hands and the pockets of folks in this trouble right now. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So it's about 52%, though. That's a report that came out at the end of June, and I know there has been a big push since then to distribute it. But it's interesting, Charlotte, actually 52% is quite an improvement over a lot of cities, which have distributed. Some have distributed 0% of the money. Wow. Some have distributed, 5 or 10% of the money. And so it's really been a big push from the federal government has really been pushing states and local governments, hey, please try to get this money out quickly. But at the same time, these local governments had to set up an infrastructure that didn't exist. Here in Charlotte, we went through Dream Key Partners. It's a nonprofit. Other cities had similar structures or sometimes went through, the government directly. Mm-hmm. So, this just showed that there wasn't a pipeline to distribute millions and millions of dollars in funding in these individual cities. And I think it underscored that this housing crisis, already existed before COVID, and the just lack of a plan to, help people on the national level. And this is really exemplified in that.
Yeah. Last quick question on this. I'll toss it out to everybody. Moratoriums are just kind of kicking the can down the road. What happens when the moratoriums go away? Arguably because they're not needed anymore. But, that's when the bill comes due, correct? This is going to be, this is kind of the beginning of what's going to be a much larger problem once the actual moratoriums expire once and for all, correct? Eli?
Yeah, I think... Yeah. Yes, I think we've seen Danielle's point that this is really an ongoing crisis. That's certainly true. We've got record high home prices here in Charlotte, record low for sale home availability, and rent prices are very high as well. I was just looking at the Eastland Mall materials for the redevelopment there. And a studio apartment, when those open in Eastland, a studio is supposed to rent for a projected $1,100. And, when you've got new housing coming online that's that expensive in a part of the city that's historically been relatively affordable, that just shows you that this is an ongoing crisis. Nationwide, it's the same story. There are various estimates, but they all place us somewhere in the millions of housing units short range of where we need to be. So this is not something that started with COVID. Yeah. when these moratoria expire, it's not going to be over. It's really just a continuation of the same crisis we've been in for a while now when it comes to housing affordability.
Christina, you want to wrap this up for us?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, a little bit to piggyback on what Eli said. I mean, yeah, this is not something that just happened and popped up overnight during COVID, and it's going to be something that the city is just going to be having to grapple with for years and years to come. I think maybe it's kind of good that it put it on the forefront. It made it even more on the front burner, and it's certainly an emergency situation. So maybe going forward, we retain some of that momentum, and that attention that we've given it during this time.
Yeah. Sad situation for the folks in this situation, but for now, at least, I guess they've got time to figure this out. And I guess governments, local governments, and all the way up to the federal level have time to figure this out as well, to see what they can do to permanently or in the long term help the folks who have struggled so much with COVID in terms of keeping a roof over their heads. Christina, you wrote about the airport this week, just as the airport was releasing information about how bad last year really was out at Charlotte Douglas. You want to talk a little bit about where we were versus where we are, and maybe, why it's hopefully good news going forward for not just the airport, but for all the industries that depend on the airport.
Sure. So, I mean, if anyone's flown this summer, it would be easy to think that, we're back to normal. And I actually looked at the data from June this year to between June 2019 and June 2021. And if you look at the number of people getting on and off planes, it's pretty much exactly the same as it was 2019. But, the difference is most of those travelers are leisure travelers taking advantage of low-cost fares. And so really for these airlines, it's just still there's a huge gulf until they get business travel back, which who knows when that's going to happen. The airport did release some figures this week, showed that revenue in 2020 was down about 19%. When you look at some of the big revenue generators at the airport, you're talking, parking revenue was down like 60%, concessions 50%, big money makers for the airport. There's going to be a lot to catch up on for them. And again, I mean, the return of business travel is going to be a huge deal for the airlines and for these airports. Once leisure travelers stop traveling, the summer ends, the airports are going to empty out quite a bit until those, business people are back in the skies. I think, American said that they lost about $1 billion in the last quarter. So, it's a huge impact continuing, and nobody quite knows when it's going to end.
Yeah, that's the X factor, I guess. Those business travelers that are really the bread and butter of the airlines. In particular in Charlotte, a place where people transfer flights. But a lot of the big industries here, the banks, they're not doing the kind of travel they used to do in or out of Charlotte or anywhere for that matter. Eli?
Yeah, and I think that really, in addition to the business travel coming back, that's going to be big. Charlotte Douglas is also really well positioned for weathering a storm like this. Compared to many of its peer airports, Charlotte has always maintained really high cash reserves. There's a lot of cash on hand to cover those operating costs in preparation for something like this. So I think that's played to the airport's strengths. They're also not slowing down their expansion plans. So, we're really in this city collectively as a community making a big bet on air travel coming back and remaining strong. If you talk to people in the economic development community, they just talk, they'll talk your ear off about Charlotte's airport and its importance. And it's always been that way. So I know a lot of people are watching that really, really closely.
Yeah, American adding flights. Gates will be opening, new gates opening at the airport by the end of this year. Obviously, from the airport's point of view, they see last year as a blip that won't be repeated going forward. And again, that's not entirely that's not entirely up to them. That depends on the businesses and those leisure travelers that so far have at least made the airport look kind of like it used to look again. I remember those empty parking lots in the middle of COVID. That was kind of the strangest thing of all, driving by the airport and seeing all those, acres of concrete with no cars there. Hey, let's talk about Eastland Mall. Speaking of acres of concrete, the County Commission voting its share of public funding towards what we all hope is going to be a redevelopment that breathes some new life into, what used to be a major economic center and has been pretty much a big nothing for a long time. Where are we on Eastland, and how significant is what County Commission did this week? Anybody?
So we are.
This week.
That's all right.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, so this week, the county commissioners approved, I think it was $7 million in tax incentives to redevelop Eastland Mall. And, it's going to be kind of a mixed space. There's going to be mixed income housing, a park, greenways. There's going to be a soccer training facility there that a lot of people are very excited about. So again, like you said, I mean, it's been sort of a big plot of nothing for a long time, with a lot of people over the years having ideas and plans and dreams for it. I think there was discussion even of it putting some kind of a video studio or something like that, TV studio in there.
Ski slopes.
And so anyway, I think, people are excited about the idea, I think, of just it turning into something. And, these plans certainly are very significant.
Yeah. Eli?
Yeah, and in some ways, I kind of felt like I was watching maybe a little preview of the stadium negotiations with David Tepper and what could come about there. Right. Tepper Sports is putting a soccer training facility there, and some public, some fields that they say will have public access. There was a little mini controversy at the end where there was a talk of asking for more park space, and people were saying the county commission shouldn't negotiate at the end like this. So there was a little back and forth over that. But then County Commissioner Pat Cotham said, I don't want Mr. Tepper going anywhere. We've got to have this. During the meeting. So I kind of felt like I was getting a little sneak preview into what we're going to see when it comes time to really get into those negotiations about Bank of America Stadium and the future there.
Danielle, we'll give you the last word this week. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this was certainly an important step forward, but the real telling step is going to be when it goes before the city council. And of course, the city is still working out negotiations, with anything like this where it's government owned land, they'll work through things like the number of affordable units, which I think we got a quick glimpse of this week. And, have like park space and all of these sort of public amenities that, of course, like in negotiations with public land, you can pull out of out of a developer because it's government owned land. So I think that will be really the big flashpoint. And I want to say too, I think a lot of people are looking forward to it, but the East Side is also, really vulnerable to gentrification and displacement. And I know that there have been a lot of concerns with this project over the last few years around, is this going to help spur displacement, unfortunately, in that area? It doesn't really include any housing, I believe, at 30% to 50%, AMI. It's all like the upper end of 80% or more of the area median income. So I think that there will be some discussions around, how to redevelop the area, which of course I think everybody wants to see, but without pushing people out. Yeah,
it's been a long time since there's been anything worthwhile looking at Eastland, but this is a step in the right direction. And we're out of time, but I want to thank everybody for joining us this week around our table, and you as at home as well. Again, if you have comments or questions about what we talked about this week, just send them to offtherecord@WTVI.org. Thanks for joining us at home, and we'll see you next time right here on Off the Record.
A production of PBS Charlotte.